Robert E. Langford planned and built the Langford Resort Hotel in Winter Park, Florida, he ran into an issue with the city commission. The commission was not inclined to give him a liquor license. Several churches had objected on the grounds that it was not needed and that it would jeopardize the morals of Rollins College students. As a skilled public relations man, Langford started a booster club for the hotel, named the Sidewalk Superintendents, and he met with the clergymen to discuss the fact that they had as much riding on a liquor license as he did, if they hoped to keep major weddings in town, rather than to see them move to Orlando. The city commission eventually concurred, and Langford agreed not to make the bar a centerpiece of the hotel.
Now back at that time, the bar was just inside of the main entrance there, where the awning was, where you go in the main door. The bar was just into the left of that. I think it had, if I recall, it had 12 stools around a little bar. Mike was, I didn't know who Mike was then, but he was the bartender. It was very crowded, and most of the times when we would stop there after work, you couldn't get a seat because the bar was filled, and they did have tables around. Of course, back then, all the guys had suits and ties on. The waitresses wore little skimpy uniforms, but I believe it was only a year or 2 or 3 after that they did renovate the bar and open up the Del Prado.
Very unique, and people loved that. We had a lot of regular customers that would come in at night who weren't the regular customers that had been coming in for 20, 30, 40 years, but they were customers that had been coming in for 5 years, 10 years, and tended to be a little younger, and they were just fascinated by the Langford, and especially a lot of the retro things about the Langford, like in the lounge, as well as the banquet rooms next door, the Empire Room and the Fireside Room. The chairs in there had a red plastic covering on them, which made them very retro. And as a matter of fact, when the hotel was closed, people really wanted those chairs just because they were so unique in their retro appearance.
We loved the new bar because with the windows in the back, you could look out at the pool, and it was really a neat place. We got to be sort of regular customers there. We probably stopped in there at least 2 nights a week after work. It was just a relaxing, nice place to go. Atmosphere, and the fact that you could look out the window and see the pool. And of course, most nights, along about 5:30, Mr. Langford himself would come into the bar, and he was always very personable. He'd talk about the days. He talked about when he was a kid up in Chicago and mingling with all the professional baseball players. And then, of course, Marge was always there. She was the manager of the apartments, as you call. She'd always come in after work and have a glass of wine or something.
My daughter.
The one thing that made the Langford Bar so interesting was they had so many international guests there and most of them always spoke English, and it was so much fun to talk to those people at the bar. You know, it was interesting. There were quite a few what I would call regulars over the years that were there all of the time. It just so happened that none of my other business friends went there other than on rare occasions, because a couple of business organizations that I belonged to had their monthly meetings on the second floor up above the bar there. So on those nights, some of the other people from my office would be there also. It was just a great place.
Manager Mike Omar, my boss, he worked there for 30 years or more. I can't remember the exact number of years anymore. He very rarely had ever taken a vacation during that time. He decided to go to Mecca one year, and he took off for a month or two. I want to say it was 2. And while he was gone, he put me in charge of doing the ordering of the liquor and so forth. I didn't have to worry about ordering the beer because the beer vendors would come in, they would look at what we had and what we had sold. We could make a comment to them, you know, we may need a little bit extra because we've got a special event coming up or something, and they would leave us extra. But as far as the liquor and the wine went, Mike taught me how to do the ordering with the liquor and the wine. That was when I learned a few things about Mike. He was known as the Winter Park Chinaman by the local liquor agents, and the reason is because normally bars will take a discount on liquor. That's just the way the business works. Is they take a discount on liquor. Well, Mike did it differently. He didn't want a discount on liquor. He wanted free bottles of liquor or wine. It was mainly liquor. One in particular that I remember was our bar whiskey. He had things worked out to where if we got a case of another whiskey, we got a free case of the bar whiskey. Mike had that worked out. And that was one reason why Mike was so successful as a bar manager, was because he knew how to work that system to where he could really keep the bar costs down. And sometimes it entailed him buying large amounts of liquor. Sometimes we'd walk back in the liquor room and there would be cases stacked higher than your head of Dewar's or something like that he had purchased because it was on sale, or they were willing to give him a good deal on it, give him extra free liquor, or maybe they were charging too much for, say, Grand Marnier or something expensive like that, Courvoisier. Maybe they were charging too much for that, and he wasn't willing to pay that price. So he would negotiate a deal with them that if he bought X number of cases of something else, that they would give him a free bottle. He was called the Winter Park Chinaman because when bar managers do that, when they go for free bottles of liquor as opposed to a discount, that's the expression that liquor agents use.
Never want to work that hard. I just want someone that I can talk to. I love you just the way you are.
I mean, Mike Omar probably had the lowest bar cost of any bar in town. He would nitpick the sellers of the Consolidated and all those, saying, well, if I'm going to buy this, you need to throw in a case of that. He would, and then with the bottles, he would pour one bottle into another just to keep the bottles full at the bar.
Which was highly illegal. It's called
You're not allowed to do that.
No. Every time I'd catch him, he said, "Mike, you can't do that. They can close us down." Nobody's going to catch me. I can do that. His bargaining was his gamble. You know, this was him, it was like gambling. I'm gonna buy this, as Bob says, if you give me this case of alcohol. So that's why he liked to, you know, kind of, you know, nitpick about every cost. And he refused till the very end to let me put Coca-Cola, because we had the worst tasting soda, and everybody complained.
And he wouldn't let us get fine wines either, which our guests, you know, would prefer because they cost too much.
They might go bad. Yeah. So it was a real hassle working with him. But my dad loved him.
No, yeah,
He was a lot of fun, you know, for the employees. For the crowd that we used to call a cheers group that would sit around the bar. I mean, he knew what they drank. And my friends were marveled because the Rollins people would come back for alumni and sit by the bar, and he would remember what they drank.
That's amazing.
It really was.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
And we used to have all these people that come over from the Netherlands, and the men would send their families all out to Disney all day, and they'd sit at the bar with Mike and drink with Mike all day.
Well, it didn't help. It hurt that the Rollins girls would come in their bikinis and sit by the pool. So that was always a draw for all the people that sat around the bar.
I'm crossing you in style someday.
I met Seven, my husband, in 1991. He would frequent the Langford. He would come and wait for me at the bar, and Mike would serve him a Heineken, and he'd have one Heineken, and that was it for that. Sometimes he'd come in for breakfast, and that was always fun. But I think you loved the Langford also.
Oh, it was nostalgic. It was a great place to spend some time in the afternoon, meet and talk to some very nice people.
Yeah.
It was a great way to spend the afternoon.
I wonder what happened
Waiting for you.
Yeah, right. I wonder what happened to the regulars. I do wonder that sometimes, that there was a lot of regulars and they have to go somewhere, I guess, but every afternoon it would be the same people.
Well, hello, Polly. Well, hello, Polly. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
Celebrities other than Carrot Top, who had came into the bar. George McGovern had came in and sat at the bar. He was staying in the hotel for a couple of nights. So the Enzion Theater would have, every year they would have a big film festival. And during that film festival, Rick Moranis stayed at the Langford. He didn't sit at the bar, he sat out in the lounge, and I can still remember he drank Heineken and he tipped $1. He was there with a woman, I don't know who she was. Also, while he was there, I didn't see him because he didn't come into the bar at all, but he came into the hotel to see Rick Moranis, and that was Steve Martin came in. Another customer that we used to get fairly regularly was the second Grizzly Adams. The first Grizzly Adams apparently had to part way with their production company. He was replaced with another Grizzly Adams that looked a lot like him. Now this was well after the Grizzly Adams show, but he still did TV advertisements with him, particularly in Alaska, is my understanding, and he did commercials for Kmart. And there was still some movie production or TV production or something that involved him. We loved having him at the bar because he tipped like there was no tomorrow. Come in and have 2 drinks and tip us 10 or 20 bucks. So we loved having him at the bar. Gene Edwards was his name. His name was Gene Edwards. He was a heck of a nice guy. As a matter of fact, his production company was in charge of paying for all of his expenses there at the Langford, including those big tips. At one point, the production company failed to pay their bills with the Langford, So he stepped forward and he paid everything himself because he wanted to stay in the good graces of the Langford. There's one particular night where this kooky-looking guy came in, and his hair all tied up in a man bun, and had glitter and makeup on, and I couldn't tell whether he was old enough or not, so I carded him. And the person that was with him was a little put off by the fact that I had carded him. And his ID was from, it was either North or South Carolina, I can't remember which it was. And he was old enough, I gave him the ID back. And then he proceeded to go over to the piano bar where Sarah Hayes, who was a big name and is still a big name in New York City, was there singing. And he went over to the piano bar. And after he headed over that way, I started to look at him, and I said to the other bartender that was working with me that night, Joanna, I said, I think that's Carrot Top. and of course his ID didn't say Carrot Top on it, so Joanna said, no, you don't know what you're talking about, you're crazy. So eventually when Sarah Hayes came over to the bar to get a drink or something, we asked her, I said, is that Carrot Top? And sure enough, it was. And that was the first time I had seen him in there, but then he came in every now and then after that.
First I worked 5 days a week. Yeah, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Tuesday through Saturday. Off Sunday and Monday. And then at the end, I was a fair-haired boy, so I could have worked any days I wanted, but I just choose Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Friday night was a big night. Yeah. Everybody came in and sang. It was jammed all night. It was, I accompanied the singers, so it was not karaoke. They had a karaoke after me. The karaoke people wouldn't sing with me. They'd only sing with their karaoke stuff for some. I don't know how to understand that.
Do you remember Pollyanna Woodward?
Oh yeah, Polly. She and her husband. Her husband liked to dance, right.
Oh really?
Well, he died during that time. Yeah, he put on a show when he danced. And she was like the mother hen. She kind of ran all the girls and stuff. Yeah. Pollyanna Woodward. Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't really a very good tip getter. Because well, really psychologically, I was never present there. I mean, I had the talent for playing, but I wasn't present, so I couldn't play with my heart. I just played with my mind. And it's strange why we look at the videos like there's nobody home when I'm playing and singing and talking to people.
remember when I found out that he did not read music, and I couldn't believe that a guy could play that well and that many songs that didn't know how to read music. I couldn't believe that. He was a great entertainer.
One, two, three, four.
And the Rat Pack was in style again. That era of the 60s was really cool, and the Langford Hotel was just the perfect hotel to do a show like that in, because it had the whole, you didn't have to do anything. The hotel was from that era.
We would always have after parties.
Yeah, we'd always have after, but that was the best.
That
That
was
was
the
the
New
contemporary,
Year's.
that contemporary suite. That was kind of, we like to think that was right on par with some of the parties that the Rat Pack would have. Because it was all ages too.
All
people
ages.
from, in their 20s, people in their 50s and 60s.
We had a groovy time, and hopefully we'll come back together at some point.
Yeah, it was a time. I tell people I'm so glad that we did that, and it was like a little comet flying by in the universe, and we just grabbed a hold of its tail and had fun, and we're the center for that party, and everybody else that around, they'd like, we would have the shows on Friday night, and then they would keep the rooms through Saturday night, keep the after party going until Sunday morning. Oklahoma City was mighty pretty, I'm a real old New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Boston, San Bernardino, won't you get hip to this timely tip? When you made that California trip, get your case on Route 66. Get your case on Route 66. One more time. Get your case on Route 66. Okay, now we're looking due east from Interlochen Avenue to where the old hotel used to be. Immediately behind me is a vacant lot.
By 2003, the hotel had been closed and actually had undergone demolition. And I parked the car and walked up to the corner where the hotel, of the intersection there where the hotel would have started. And I just looked out over an empty lot, and I thought, my God, it was such a surreal moment to think that a place that was so important to Winter Park, that affected so many people, that certainly had a big impact on my life, was completely gone. And there was nothing there but an empty lot. And you think, where's the Olympic-sized swimming pool? Where is the treetop room that was a popular banquet room for weddings, because it was all glassed in and you could look out onto the landscape of Winter Park from the treetop room. And it was sad. It was a very sad thing to see, and I know that there were a lot of people that loved the Langford and were upset that it closed.
I could afford. Like a child, wild anticipation